मधुर मनोहर अतीव सुंदर ये सर्व विद्या की राजधानी राजधानी।
So, well, my dear students, now we are back again to the lecture number 27 in the series of mechanics of metal forming. And if you recall back the previous lecture where we started the formulation of upper bound theorem, that is started with the virtual work principle. So, we would further now continue here the next part of the formulation of the upper bound theorem, and then we would take up certain applications to solve the cases to illustrate the upper bound theorem. So, if you recall the previous equation 51 where we found that the over the surface S, the integral which was Fi dui star ds was equal to the summation of two integrals, that was over the surface u where the displacement is prescribed, and over the surface f where the integral was the second part where Fi du I star dsf was calculated. So, starting with the equation 51, please note that since dui star is dui on the surface u su, and because capital S, the total stress, the total surface area or the total surface is the summation of the two surfaces, that is su and sf. So, if the kinematical stress, that is sigma ij star, is the stress field, not necessarily it is statistically admissible, but let us it is derivatable from the concept of plastic potential for strain increment, that is d epsilon ij star. So, the principle of maximum principal work can give like, that is the over the volume integral, that means sigma ij star minus sigma ij multiplied by the strain increment, that is d epsilon ij star multiplied by dv. This should be equal to or greater than 0. That is the maximum plastic work from the principle of maximum plastic work theory. And because the volume integral over the volume, that is the which we obtained earlier, that is a volume over the volume integral sigma ij minus sigma ij star multiplied by d epsilon ij dv is greater than or equal to 0. Therefore, one can write that from these two relations that over the volume V integral sigma ij star multiplied by d epsilon ij star dv must be equal to or greater than over the volume integral sigma ij d epsilon ij star dv. This has been shown in 52. And that means over the volume V sigma ij d epsilon ij dv must be equal to or greater than over the volume integral sigma ij star d epsilon ij dv. That is correct. So, using these equations, that is equation 50 and 53, rather 50 to 53, and if we replace the value of shear stress tau by K, the yield stress in the shear for a rigid perfectly plastic material can be found out, and therefore one can get like that is over the surface integral over the surface SU, that means Fi dui dSu must be less than or equal to the 3 summation, that is the summation 1 integral over V over the volume, that is sigma ij star d epsilon ij star dV plus summation over the integral. The summation means this SD may have more and more surfaces. So that is how the summation is put before the integral. So the summation over the integral over the surface SD, that is the discontinuities, there may be more number of discontinuities SD. So over this integral over this discontinuity surface SD, K mod of du t star ds d star minus the integral over surface SF Fi du star and dsF, that is what has been shown in 54. So this is what the equation, because K is also greater than or equal to tau. So if you look at this equation, the right hand side of the equation, it gives the upper bound for the increment of work of the unknown surface traction acting on surface SU. That means the ratio rather the rate, that means the rate of work done by the unknown surface traction on SU is less than or equal to the rate of energy dissipated in any kinematically admissible velocity field. That is the meaning of this equation. So what happened? In general, the upper bound technique is used very extensively to analyze the material forming or metal forming or alloy forming problems by using 2 approaches. Actually these approaches, number 1, where the work done or the power dissipation in the plastically deforming medium is mainly due to rigid body slip at the internal surface of displacement or velocity discontinuity. Secondly, by proposing continuous velocity or displacement fields which are kinematically admissible. So the second part is much more popular, where we propose a continuous velocity or displacement field and that is kinematically admissible. So if the mode of deformation is assumed to be rigid block movements separately by lines of tangential displacement or velocity discontinuities, then one can write that d epsilon ij star is 0, simply it is 0. That means there is no need for evaluating the volume integral. And further, if integral SF, that is integral over SF Fi dui star dsF is 0 at every instant, then the equation 54 that we derived previously will reduce to what? It will reduce to the value, that is the integral over surface u Fi dui dSu must be less than or equal to summation, all the summation over integral SD star over the this discontinuity surface K mod of DUD star DSD star. So, it should reduce to this value which is shown here in equation 55. So, let us start with few examples. So, for that we derive the upper bound theorem, and let us take some examples to illustrate them. So, let us take this figure 9A, where a plane strain compression with a smooth platen is considered. So, this figure 9 where there is a proposed in 9A where there is a proposed deformation field, and in figure B there is corresponding hodograph for the plane strain compression where there is no friction between the platens, right. So, we can start with this, the initial figure A, where a proposed deformation field is there. One can choose another different, here it has been taken as particularly 3 such fields, but one can go for more as well. But because it is a long platen, so let us start with this. So, if you mark here the width of the platen which is of under compression is 2b, and height is 2h, is small 2h, and if you mark the velocity, the compression velocity is taken as unit. So, that is the velocity of compression is taken as unit. So, you can mark point A, B, C, D, E, F and G on there. So, starting with this, if you note, this is a rectangular block where the width 2b moves with unit speed. So, conditions are such that plane strain deformation takes place, one can assume it. So, for the proposed displacement field which is shown here in A, figure A, if it is considered to be admissible, that means the velocity field must be compatible with the known flow of the material, right. So, the crisscross lines that has been shown in 9A shows the lines of discontinuity, and that makes equal angle with the platens. So, consider 1/4 of the system and the corresponding hodograph which is shown here in diagram B, 9B. The method of constructing the hodograph has already been explained earlier, if you recall, and that was way back the previous 2 chapter where we also took in the slip line construction during. So, if you see the figure 9 here, so at point I the material moves downwards with unit velocity as shown, and at point A it moves horizontally outwards with a velocity which is equal to 3 times the horizontal velocity at point I. That is correct. So, the velocity field is therefore it is compatible with the flow of material. So, from the velocity diagram that is shown in 9B, one can get from the geometry as well, that is the hodograph geometry, that means sin theta is equal to simply 1 by u, and AB is equal to BC, and it is again equal to CD, and that is equal to all that is b by n cos sec theta, and that is equal to b by 3 sec theta, because n there are 3 zones has been taken. One can take more than 3, but because since here 3 zones, therefore the n is 3 here. That represents the intersection of the velocity discontinuity lines with the horizontal axis of the symmetry. So, if we use equation 55, the upper bound solution for plane strain deformation of this case with the rigid block movement. So, the whole region is considered as a rigid block in terms of the corresponding velocities, that is ui and ud star, can be written in the previous equation that has been used. So, it can be written as over the surface integral over the surface SU, that is of Fi ui dSu, and that should be simply less than or equal to all such velocity field, that is the summation over all such discontinuities, that means integral over SD star, which are admissible, kinematically admissible. So, K mod of this means positive side of UD star D SD star. So, that is what has been, this is the upper bound equation relating to this case. So, if the mean compressive pressure on the platen is say P, then it follows from the above equation that the rate of work of deformation on 1/4 of the system as it is taken is what? So, it becomes, that means P B 1, because width is taken as 1, and that must be equal to K multiplied by the 3 summations corresponding to the 3 regions, that means that is region AB, BC and CD. So, what we would write, that means UAB multiplied by the AB length plus UBC, that is the velocity, if you can measure in that from the photograph, that is the UBC, and the length of the BC, plus UCD, that is the you measure the velocity between C and D component, measure it and multiplied by the length of the CD. So, these 3 summation, and that is equal to, if you sum it up, that is equal to 2 kb divided by sin 2 theta. So, the above equation can be also written as in a very popular manner, that is P by 2k. So, if you transpose the numerator on the left side down, so it is P by 2k, and that simply becomes equal to 1 by sin 2 theta. So, as discussed earlier, the lowest upper bound is the best one, as I told you. So, the theta will be, we can choose. So, if we differentiate this P by 2k this equation with respect to theta, one can easily show that it will have a minimum value when theta is what? If you substitute, you check it, when theta is pi by 4, then the sin 2 theta is 1, and corresponding to that value P becomes 2k, and that occurs for all integer value of P B by H. So, all integer value, if you take, whether B by H is 2, 3, 4 whatsoever, the above problem therefore can also be analyzed using the continuous velocity field method as well, because here we have taken the few only. Since the platen approach each other with unit velocity as it was shown in 9a, and the deformation is assumed to be homogeneous, and it is parallel velocity field exists. So, as the deformation is symmetric about the places of symmetry, the velocity field can be chosen as, that means u is equal to x by h 1 multiplied by v, and that is what is equal to minus y by h multiplied by 1 w, and that is equal to 0, and this what has been shown here in equation 57. So using the proposed velocity field, which is shown in 9a, and the corresponding photograph in 9b, one can now one can get the strain rate easily, one can calculate it. So suppose one wants to find out the strain rate in x-axis direction, that means epsilon x-x dot. So how can one can get? That is simply nothing but dy u by dy x, and that is what is 1 by h. And similarly in y direction strain rate would be, that is epsilon y dot, that is equal to dy v by dy y, and that is nothing but minus 1 by h. And similarly in z direction, that is epsilon z dot would be, because it would be equal to epsilon xy dot, and will further be equal to epsilon yz dot, and again it will be equal to epsilon zx zz dot, that would all be 0 because the plane strain condition. So the proposed velocity field therefore satisfies the essential boundary condition as well as the incompressibility. That means epsilon xx dot plus epsilon yy dot plus epsilon zz dot is the summation is 0. That is the incompressibility condition, and this happens throughout the deformation zone. So assuming that the material is yielding according to the von Mises criteria, generalized strain rate, that is epsilon dot prime, can be proposed and one can obtain. So the generalized strain rate can be obtained as, if you recall back, for corresponding to von Mises criteria, that is under root 2 by 3 epsilon ij dot multiplied by epsilon ij dot, and that is what is equal to 2 by root 3 1 by h, right. So this is shown here in equation 59. Now using these strain rate, see, we started with the velocity field, and then from the velocity field and using the proposed admissible field, we got the strain rates. So now these can be utilized for calculating the power, that is the power P, which is required to deform the material on the basis of this upper bound solution. So if suppose for this case, if it is evaluated, how can it be calculated? So that means the power P required to deform the material would be equal to what? 4 W sigma 0. Sigma 0 is the yield strength of the material without strain hardening. When there is no strain hardening, so that is how it signifies the 0. So sigma 0, and over double integral, that is the power over double integral from 0 to b and from 0 to h, and the component of the equation 59. So that is 2 by root 3 1 by h, and then dx dy, because it is a xy plane. So that becomes simply, that means P is becomes 8 by root 3 W sigma 0 B. That is what's the form, where W is the width of the plate end and sigma 0 is the the yield stress as I explained, assuming uniform pressure distribution along the work tool interface. So, the power required capital P to deform the material can be obtained as, that means P is equal to 2P 2B W multiplied by 1, that is the velocity one. So, using the upper bound theorem, then one can write that 2P 2B W and 1 is less than or equal to 8 by root 3 W B sigma 0, or P is less than or equal to 2 times sigma 0 by root 3, and that is less than or equal to 2K. That has been shown here in 62, where K is the yield strength, yield stress in shear of the material according to the von Mises material. So, both approach therefore predict the same value of P if you look at. So, that has been what has been shown here. The one example. Let us take the another example where we take the indentation of semi-infinite block by a frictionless plate punch. Okay. So, let us take this example where, and please refer this particular figure, that is figure 10A, the 10A where the shear lines are shown with the punch is shown, and one half of the things has been taken. The punch width is 2A, and the one half, that is the center line, is A, and the right side of the punch edge is at B. So, from left hand side of the a proposed deformation field is shown with A, B, C, D, E, B as the pattern, and if you mark the angles, that is 60 degree in between. So, all the angles are 60. So, and if you look at the B here, this shows the corresponding hodograph. So, the slip line field solution of this problem has already been considered earlier, if you recall, when we discussed the slip line theory things. So, considering one half of the system, an approximate mode of deformation is suggested as shown here in 10A. When the punch is pushed in the material under the punch moves downwards, while at the punch edge it moves outwards, causing piling up of the material. In if you look at 10A, the triangles, that is ABC, BCD and BDE are equilateral triangles that make 60 degree theta as 60 degree with the lines AC, BC, BD and DE as lines of velocity discontinuity. So, the material velo ACDE is considered to be rigid therefore. So, based on this, the hodograph is drawn in 10B. So, hodograph shows that the block 2, if you see, the block 2 is compelled to move downwards and slides parallel to AC and BC, and block 3 is sheared along CD and BD. One you can see very easily in this figure. So, the block 4, if you look, is now compelled to move parallel to DE, while material velo ACDE is assumed to be stationary. So, block 4 causes piling up of material at the punch edge, which is consistent with the known deformation pattern. So, the upper bound for pressure P can be obtained using equation 56 that we previously derived. So, if you look at the figure 10a and 10b, and if we use the equation 56, one can propose the upper bound pressure P. So, that means it can be proposed like, if you see the velocity field, the hodograph 10b, so one can write that P multiplied by A multiplied by 1, because the velocity of the compression is 1, and that should be equal to K multiplied by, if you see that the velocity discontinuity lines, that is AC, BC, CD, BD and DE. So, there would be 5 such summation. So, if we take, that means it becomes K multiplied by UAC, that is the velocity. From the velocity hodograph field you measure the AC length, and then the length of the AC, that is capital AC, similarly plus UBC BC plus UCD plus multiplied by CD plus UBD multiplied by BD plus the last one, that is the velocity length in the hodograph, that is UDE, and multiplied by the length of the DE, length of the discontinuity. So, that this has been shown here in equation 63. Please note that 2A is the punch width, and UAC, UBC etc. are the velocity discontinuities. So, substituting for the velocity discontinuities, one can see that it becomes 4PA multiplied by 1 is equal to K multiplied by 10 multiplied by A divided by root 3, and that is simply it can be written in a popular form, that is P by 2K is equal to 2.89. Alright. So, that was the situation. Now, if triangle ABC, BCD and BDE as taken as isosceles triangle with the angle BAC, ABC, BCD, CDB, DBE and BED as theta, then the angles ACB, CBD and BDE are, therefore it is pi minus 2 theta, and for theta when it is pi by 4, the upper bound solution will give what? It will give as P by 2K is equal to 3, and this has been shown in figure 11A here, where the shear lines in the A, where the shear lines, and in the B the corresponding hodograph for drawing of rectangular strip with a frictionless taper die for a small reduction is shown. So, this is another example. Alright. So, likewise one can see, and the situation, the another situation where drawing of rectangular strip with a frictionless taper die for having very small reduction is there. So, again here also a similar hodograph is drawn, and the upper bound solution that gives P by 2K is equal to 3 is obtained. Now, this is another case where we have that is in equation figure 12a, where the shear lines are corresponding to the drawing of rectangular strip with frictionless taper die. Okay. In the previous case it was for very small reduction, but here it is taken for very large reduction. So this has been shown here in figure 12a. So the 12a shows the shear lines. So now you see this is what's the taper die, and it's a large reduction because here the HB, the entry is your HB by 2, and here the exit is HB HA by 2, and you now mark the region A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 regions, and the corresponding points are A, B, C, D, E. Alright, and these are angle thetas. So one can, and then the corresponding hodograph is drawn in figure 12b. So you mark the region 1 corresponds to point 1, region 2 corresponds to point 2, and it is parallel to, you see the region. So the say for the discontinuity AB, so the 1 2 is, it is parallel. So 1 2 in the hodograph is parallel to AB, and V1 because it is horizontal, so 0 1 is the initially starting point for making the hodograph. And then one can see that this case where hodograph for the drawing of rectangular strip with frictionless taper die for large reduction is considered. So for this case, if you propose the upper bound value, so one can find that when you find the minimum value, so in that case, so one can find that when the value of if you mark the angle here in the hodograph, there is the angle psi here, and this is angle theta which is parallel. So 2 3, the in the hodograph 2 3 it makes angle psi with 1 3, if you see here. So one can obtain the upper bound value when it becomes alpha becomes 10 inverse root 2, that gives p by 2k as 2 under root 2. That's the solution for this case. Alright. So the both cases where the frictionless taper die was considered, and in fact half of the portion deformation was considered, and the velocity field where the 11a, the triangles AOB and hodograph corresponding was considered. The outgoing velocity has been in say 18a, that was v, that is hb by ha is along the axis. The proposed velocity was kinematically admissible, and then likewise the upper bound for the drawing stress, that is the sigma xa ha wv on the left side, and right side if you measure it, the velocity field that it was already proposed. So one can see these equations, and if you substitute for the value of from the hodograph, that is uoa uob, and the value of OA and OB in terms of theta and psi, the relationship that is theta is psi minus alpha, the drawing stress can be obtained. Alright. So the best upper bound solution is found for the velocity field where the value of theta, which is, that means sigma xa, is a minimum one. And similarly the previous one that we took, the for the large reductions, the upper bound is obtained for velocity field with more than one triangle as shown in previously in figure 12. Alright. So, this is what about the some of the examples. We would further take up some examples in the next lecture, but please practice more and more problems, because once you have a practice for drawing the hodograph starting with the proposed velocity field, you can solve any problem. It has been found that the upper bound, this case it is used for plane strain condition, but it can also be extended for 3-dimensional cases. So, if you take the 3-dimensional case and if you propose some kinematically admissible velocity field in 3-dimensional space having the geometry of the velocity field some 3-dimensional equations, it may be in xyz form, coordinate system or r theta form, it can also be utilized for 3D cases. So, that is the beauty of upper bound solution. So, upper bound solution on the other hand, and if you compare with the slab method and slip line, it is much more better, because it can be easily applied for 3D cases. And for 3D cases you can choose a curve, 3-dimensional curve that represents a particular kinematically admissible field, and then one can go similar thing for the other case. Then later you can find out the P and minimize, other things are same. So, with this we will further continue this lecture into the lecture number 28 next time, and we would take a few more examples for the difficult cases including the 3D cases. So, I once again thank you for your patience, and please if you do not practice problems you may not understand. So, I once again tell you, you practice it, and also you give your feedback for our benefit, how did this presentation goes, the things are okay or not, you please give your feedback. So, thank you very much, thank you.